Hey everybody, and welcome back to Lindsey's Little Library. So I have a bit of a little book haul for you. I'm still very dedicated to my book buying ban, so I have Book of the Month books to show you today. I have an ARC that was sent to me, and then I did grab a few books at the Goodwill because it happened. And then I was also having a day where retail therapy felt like, the only solution, so I maybe stopped at Barnes & Noble. So you know what? There are little blips in the road. I'm still dedicated to limiting the amount of new books that come into my house. I have gone through and I've unhauled quite a few books. Our free little library in the neighborhood was getting a little low, so I put some books in there. So I'm trying to kind of get rid of what I'm bringing in so we don't get any more, because this is ridiculous behind me. So I thought I'd share with you the books that I have that have kind of come across my lap, and I'm excited. I'm excited for all of them, so it's hard to not want to bring them into my house. So, all right, let's start with Book of the Month. The first one is some friends of mine and we have a book club that we do through Book of the Month, and I don't know if you knew that was an option. It's pretty cool. So we all pick one of the selections, we all get it sent to us, and then we get questions, and there's a whole packet, a whole book club packet. We are really bad about reading the books, but we get them. So for our book club pick, we picked up The Hunting Wives by May Cobb. This one, I'll say, the Hunting Wives share more than target practice, martinis, and bad behavior in this novel of obsession, seduction, and murder. I don't like to know more books or more info about thrillers or mysteries or those types of books, but it sounds Hunting Wives. I mean, what are they hunting? What are they doing? I feel like there's conspiracy maybe involved. Not sure. Those are my thoughts, but we got that. Excited for that one. And then for my normal Book of the Month subscription that I have, definitely excited for these. I got 3 of them this month. One of them I talked about not that long ago. I think in February I talked about this one as a new release coming out, Liberty by Caitlin Greenidge. Super excited this was a Book of the Month book. Plus it's on Libro FM, and I just downloaded it as an audio because I need to get back into more audiobooks. So I thought I could do read some, listen to some little combo, but this cover is so pretty. So Liberty follows, this is a historical fiction. I'm looking for a year and I don't see one. It says coming of age as a freeborn black girl in Reconstruction era Brooklyn. So there's your timeline. Liberty Sampson is too aware of her purposeful mother, who is a practicing physician. She's one of the first and only black female women who is a physician, and her mom has very high hopes for Liberty, and basically it's just known Liberty is going to go to school and become a doctor as well. Liberty has other aspirations, of course, because like any young daughter is going to, and she says to change the plan. We'll go with that. It says, when a young man from Haiti proposes to Liberty and promises she will be his equal on the island, she accepts, only to discover that she is still subordinate to him and all men. As she tries to parse what freedom actually means to a black woman, Liberty struggles with where she might find it for herself and for generations to come. This is inspired by the life of one of the first black female doctors in the United States and rich with historical detail, which I love a book like that. So interesting that she is giving up freedoms that are just becoming available for her and deciding she moves to Haiti with this man, and we'll see where that goes. I'm interested to read it. Next one I have is Emily Henry's People We Meet on Vacation. This follows Poppy and Alex. They're 2 best friends. They have summer trips together, I think every year, until 2 years ago when I want to say they maybe tried to turn their friendship into more than a friendship, and it didn't work out for them. So it's been a couple of years since they've done that. I think Poppy has everything she wants. She wants one more final trip with Alex, and she decides to convince Alex to take the trip with her. So interested in this. I did enjoy Emily Henry's Beach Read. I didn't give it 5. I know a lot of people loved Beach Read. I really liked Beach Read. Kind of where I am. So I'm interested to see what Emily Henry has to say in this one. The next one I picked up may have been more of a cover buy because it sounds like it's the beginning of a cozy mystery series, and cozy mysteries really aren't. I haven't found one that I like yet, so maybe this is it. It's Arsenic and Adobo, which I love that title as well, by Mia Manansala. It sounds fun. So we have Lila, who moves back home and is doing all the typical, it says all the typical rom-com tropes here. She's got to save her family's failing restaurant. She's got matchmaking aunties that are trying to tell her how to find love. You know, all of that typical rom-com stuff. Until a notoriously nasty food critic drops dead shortly after confronting her about, I'm assuming, some sort of review on her restaurant. And all of a sudden, she's thrown into this turmoil of like, well, she didn't do it, but who did? And what's going on? And it sounds a little fun. So I picked that up as well. Lots of book of the months. They've been having so many good books lately. And if you haven't joined book of the month yet, highly suggest you do that. I have a link below that I think your first month is only $9.99, which I think is a steal for a big hardcover book. But they've been fantastic lately. All right, on to the random other stuff I've got. Okay, I want to talk about the ARC that I did get this month. No, it was last week. It wasn't that long ago. Anyways, it's called Hello Transcriber by Hannah Morrissey. She is a Wisconsin author that I was connected to through a mutual friend. She was doing a giveaway and somehow I won, which I'm so beyond excited for. And we, of course, had a nice little chat about books and she sent me her book. So this, oh my gosh, it sounds so good. So we have, it says Hello Black Harbor. It's a town where kids are thrown away like yesterday's trash, heroin needles blanket the street, and police transcriber Hazel Greenlee listens to detectives divulge gruesome secrets of the crime-ridden Wisconsin town. Then her neighbor confesses to her that this neighbor hid a body of a 9-year-old overdose victim in a dumpster. And suspicions, or there's rumors around that there's this Candyman, who's this notorious drug dealer, is connected to this death. So now Hazel, because of her information being a police transcriber, and the information her neighbor told her, is kind of thrown into this investigation. She's a front row seat as she becomes captivated by the lead detective, Nikolai. How far is she willing to go for a good story, even if it means destroying her marriage and luring a killer dangerously close? It sounds so good. So good. Yeah. Okay, excited to read that one. That one comes out November 30th, so I might wait a little bit to read it closer to publication date. Let's see. A friend of mine brought this over, The Other Misses by Mary Kubica. I did borrow this from the library a while ago, never got to it. She ended up finding it in their bookstore for $1, so she picked it up for me. She said it was okay. I don't know much about it. It says that she tried to run, but she can't escape the other misses. Again, don't like to know a lot about these thrillers, so she passed that on to me and I gladly accepted. Then I have my, I'm gonna go and emotionally buy books because I had a day book haul. Please tell me if you've been there. I hope you all have and I'm not by myself. So I have Downstairs Girl by Stacey Lee. This was, if you bought something at the cafe in Barnes & Noble, you get this book for $5, which of course I got myself some coffee while I was there and picked up this book. So we have Atlanta, 1890. 17-year-old Jo works as a lady's maid for the cruel daughter of one of the wealthiest men in Atlanta. By night, Jo moonlights as a pseudonymous author of a newspaper advice column called Dear Mrs. Sweetie. When her column becomes widely popular, Jo uses the power of the pen to address some of society's ills, but she's not prepared for the backlash that follows when her column challenges fixed ideas about race and gender. Super excited about that one. Also heard really good things. All right, the last 4 books I don't know much about because they're all thrillers, because I'm in this mood for like a good, as Audrey at Chapter and Converse says, a good like messed up people doing messed up things, or dark and messed up people doing dark and messed up things. That's her thing. So I'm totally in the mood for that. So I don't know much about these other than I was just kind of checking them out and seeing what ratings were. So the first was buy one get one 50% off table are these two. We have The Chill by Scott Carson. The Still Waters Run Deep. So this is about in upstate New York, there was a village that ended up having to be covered by water as they had to deal with some water management issues with a reservoir. The town was destroyed for the greater good, bringing water to millions living downstate. At least that's what the politicians from Manhattan insisted at the time. But local families who settled there since before America's founding were forced from their land, but some of them didn't move, and some didn't move, some didn't move at all, some didn't move far away. And so it sounds like there's maybe a little more behind what happened. So that sounds interesting. 5 Total Strangers by Natalie Richards. She thought being stranded was the worst thing that could happen, and she was wrong. Sounds like her car, she never should have accepted that ride. Isolated thriller, although it's snowy. Kind of want to read in the winter, but picked that one up. And then for one of our book clubs, I believe we're reading Every Last Fear by Alex Finley. Again, don't know much about. It says they found the bodies on a Tuesday. That's all I have to read to know that I want to read more. And then you guys know my love for Jennifer McMahon. She's got a new book out called The Drowning Kind. Jennifer McMahon is the queen of creepy, chilling, blah books. The queen. So excited to read this one. It says it's about a woman who returns to the old family home after her sister mysteriously drowns in its swimming pool. But she's not the pool's only victim. Be careful what you wish for. Can't wait. All right, then Riley Sagar did a little blurb about this book, and so I had to go on Book Depository and buy it. It's The Last House on Needless Street by Catriona Ward. Stephen King says, I haven't read anything this exciting since Gone Girl. Now, I'm not big on taglines, but I don't know, the way it just seems like this book spoke to me. I needed it. I had to get it. So it says that you wouldn't believe what's inside The Last House on Needless Street. This is the story of a murder, a stolen child, revenge. This is the story of Ted, who lives with his daughter Lauren and his cat Olivia in an ordinary house at the end of an ordinary street. All these things are true, and yet some of them are lies. You think you know what's inside The Last House on Needless Street. You think you've read this story before. In the dark forest at the end of Needless Street, something lies buried, and that's not what you think. How do you not want to pick up that book? I couldn't help it. So I got that one. Then found some golden ones at Goodwill. Which my Goodwill, I don't know. I've heard other booktubers and shared information about Goodwill book prices. My Goodwill apparently thinks that we're all rich around here and charges a lot. So I'm shocking these. I think 3 were $4.99 and 1 was $3.99, which still not that bad, but I've heard it's cheaper elsewhere. Anyways, I digress. First one I picked up is Diane Chamberlain. You know my obsession with her. I love her. This is her mother's shadow. Looks like it follows 3 different perspectives. I'm assuming mother-daughter relationships. Let's find out. So we have Annie, who's a loving wife and mother. She was the heart of the small community of Kiss River, but her generous nature hid a darker side that remained secret for years after her tragic death. When Lacey O'Neill finally learns the shattering truth about the mother she's spent a decade emulating, the foundation of her life begins to crumble. Then her close childhood friend dies, leaving her teenage daughter Mackenzie in Lacey's care, and Lacey unwillingly finds herself in the role of mother. Mackenzie is uprooted by her mother's death. She resents her new home of Kiss River. She wants nothing to do with the father she never knew existed, and especially not with her mother's oldest friend. But the person who could understand her best might be the one she resents the most, who is Lacey. So definitely a book about mother-daughter relationships and secrets kept, which is of course her Diane Chamberlain's sweet spot. So excited for that one. The next one I picked up is Watching You by Lisa Jewell. I've been really enjoying Lisa Jewell's books lately and saw this one, and it is like pristine condition. I swear this has not even been read. So I'll take a brand new book for $4. So this one, let's see, we have a nice upscale neighborhood in England, and it sounds like one of the neighbors is murdered in their own kitchen, and it kind of becomes a bit of like, okay, who's doing what to who doesn't like who's got secrets, that type of thing. Sounds interesting. Lisa Jewell, I'll read it. Same with more Jennifer McMahon, because I cannot get enough of her. This one is The One I Left Behind. So summer of 1985 changes Reggie's life. An awkward 13-year-old, she finds herself mixed up with school outcasts. That same summer, a serial killer called Neptune shows up in her town. And Neptune kidnaps people, cuts off one of their hands, leaves the hand at the police station, keeps that victim alive, we think. And then days later, 5 days later, always 5 days later, the body of that victim is found somewhere within the town. So as this is happening, Reggie's mom, Vera, ends up going missing, and her hand shows up at the police station, but her body's never found, and Neptune disappears. So then we have 25 years later, Reggie has moved on with her life, become a very successful architect, left her hometown, but is quickly brought back when her mother is found alive. It's gonna be great. And the last one I picked up, The Overdue Life of Amy Byler by Kelly Harms. Life is like a book. To get to the good stuff, you have to turn the page. I should write that down. So this follows our main character, Amy, as she definitely needs a break. She is a single mom raising, doesn't say how many kids. 2 kids, I feel like. I don't know why I got that information, but raising her kids. Her husband, who abandoned her and left her and her kids for a while, suddenly shows up and offers to take care of them for the summer. So she decides to escape her life in Pennsylvania and go live in New York City for the summer and kind of let her hair down. She totally throws herself into the culture of New York City, starts going on different adventures and even a few blind dates, ends up finding somebody that she could easily find herself kind of losing herself in and really connecting with, until she understands that at the end of the summer, what does she do? Should she go back to her life with her kids in Pennsylvania, stay with this guy in New York? It says, but before she can choose, a crisis forces the two worlds together. So, sounds interesting. I've heard good things. Picked that one up as well. So I think that's all of them. Not horrible, could be worse. Could be worse. Anyways, if anything on here sounds interesting to you or you have read, comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. Otherwise, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.